This is why Ford can't get anybody to work on their cars.
A warning to Ford owners.
Another junk L5P.
2017 Duramax, like 180,000 miles on it. Dropped the lifter.
America's failing, and this proves it.
How much this fucking truck was, but it's too much money. The nothing about this truck is anything I like. This screen, when it goes out, I'm sure it's stupid expensive. This screen, same thing. This isn't actually the audio button. This is just a touch thing.
New tungsten. I put, 1,000 miles on this thing, and I'm already having so many issues with it. Tell me how the backup camera already does not work.
Ran out of gas in my GMC Yukon, and it was a way bigger problem than it should have been.
These cars are the biggest overpriced piece of junk that's on the road.
Millions of Americans are returning their brand new trucks, and nobody is buying them. Before we expose these trash trucks, hit that subscribe button and like the video.
This is why Ford can't get anybody to work on their cars. Now last week the Ford CEO came out and said he had no technicians to fix all of his broken cars, and that's why it takes a minimum of 2 weeks to get your car looked at a Ford dealership. Now I already knew this was true because every time I call my local Ford dealer, they tell me they don't even have a transmission tech. And they gotta send every transmission job an hour out of town to the next nearest dealership that has a tech that can do that work. Now the Ford CEO states that there's over 6,000 bays in Ford dealerships without technicians, and they can't find anybody to fill those roles. And his attitude toward the whole situation is that people should be wanting to fill these roles and wanting to do these jobs, and he just couldn't understand why he can't fill them. Well, hold my beer, Jim, and let me tell you why. Now, your Ford vehicles used to be really nice, reliable vehicles that were simple to fix, but now they're all junk, made with Chinese parts, Chinese computers, and stuff that's not even reliable enough to make it over 100,000 miles. We all know the Ford Focus was a complete disaster, and you had to warranty at least half of them that you built. And these Escapes with the 6-speed transmission, they're failing more than ever. Let's face it, Jim, your vehicles are crap, and instead of designing them properly, you just put all the fixes on the back of your mechanics who you don't pay enough. Not only are the vehicles crap, but you gotta buy fancy scanners, special sockets, and special kits that are expensive just to be able to work on them. Now these are the reasons the mechanic shortage is pretty much everywhere in all dealerships, but Ford is one of the worst about gouging their customers and not paying their techs enough. Now this is a big problem for Ford because Ford doesn't make much money on just selling their cars. They make most of their money on servicing the fleet of their cars that they sell. And without mechanics to service that fleet, they could just go belly up. Now I see this ending one of 3 ways. Either Ford will take their cars and start making them better, more reliable, and easier to fix. We know that's probably not going to happen, so their second option is they could pay the mechanics what they truly deserve, a nice fair wage, to fix their junk cars. And the third option is probably what Jim doesn't want to hear, because if they don't do anything, they could end up bankrupt. But after the way they've treated their employees, their mechanics, and more importantly, their consumers, that just may be what they deserve. So do the right thing, Jim, and pay up, and stay dirty, and subscribe.
We keep trying to tell you guys about these newer diesel trucks. It doesn't matter if you have a Ram, a Chevy, GMC, Ford. It does not matter what mileage you have. This is a common issue that a lot of guys are experiencing. This truck showed up on a trailer from Dallas, 4 to 5 hours away. And as you can see, completely handicapped, 98 miles until 65 miles an hour max speed, check engine light, service def system. This truck is completely handicapped.
New tungsten. I put, 1,000 miles on this thing, and I'm already having so many issues with it. Tell me how the backup camera already does not work on a brand new $93,000 truck. The Uconnect system's already glitched out like 4 other times where it says service Uconnect, service Uconnect. Now I lost the backup camera. What a hunk of junk RAM is. Even if you give $25,000 off, it doesn't help. These things are just junk in general. No matter how nice you try to make these things, if this doesn't work, then guess what? That's the whole problem with these iPads. If these iPads don't work, then boom, you don't have a car that actually functions properly. Thankfully, I got out of the Ram, and oh my gosh, CarMax was crazy. CarMax wanted me to eat almost like $11,000 to get out of that truck. I found a Toyota dealership that was able to get me out of it, and I was only upside down $1,500. I'll take that any day over that truck. I can't believe already a brand new truck like that could glitch out so many times when it was brand new with less than 1,000 miles on it. It was absolutely wild. That's why you don't buy a slanted product, especially when it has all those features on it. It's nice that it has the features, but when they don't work, who cares what features it has? Because the thing doesn't actually work.
This is why mechanics are quitting the automotive business. 2007 Cadillac EXT. It's basically the luxury version of a Chevy Avalanche, and I'll be honest, I love these vehicles. It came with a 6.2 liter V8 paired with a 6L80 transmission that we had to replace yesterday. Now swapping these transmissions isn't too difficult, especially when you got a lift. But being a mechanic isn't just about nuts and bolts nowadays. You see, not only do you have to be able to install this unit, make sure everything's tight and torqued down properly, but now you also got to be an IT technician. Because this unit requires flash programming or they'll void out your warranty. Now to program this thing, you got to come to an AC Delco TDS website, and then you got to go down here and buy one of these programs just to be able to write the software into this thing. The cheapest one is this service programming system. That enables you to purchase one VIN that you could program all the modules on this thing. So you actually have to download the software onto your computer, but launch it through AC Delco's website. Now to get this program to talk to the vehicle, you got to have a device called a pass-through device. And this one is pretty cheap on Amazon, but there's others, and technically it's not the GM specific one. You're supposed to buy the Bosch one, which costs thousands of dollars. But this one works just fine. So once we get the program open, we can auto detect the VIN. We don't even got to put it in, and our pass-through device will read it from the car and put it into our system. And then it'll pull up our Escalade here. And it's actually 2008. I told you wrong. Once all that pulls up, we could click on this SPS2 here, which will pull up our service programming system. Alright, so when we get the TCM pulled up in SPS, you'll see down here it says unrecognized calibration. And then you have to come to SPS information to make sure that you have the right information going into the computer that you need. So this is the transmission ID that we should be putting in, and by going to TechLine Connect, we can see that's the transmission ID that's missing that needs to be in. And now it'll start writing to the ECU, and all we got to do is wait for it to be done. Now that's a lot of stuff to do after you get done with an 8-hour install swapping a transmission. And if you don't do it, you could get fired as a technician. And that's why guys are leaving this business, because we never asked for all this computer bullcrap that we got to do. All we want to do is just simply turn wrenches. And that's what you think you're going to be doing when you get into the automotive profession. But in reality, what you're going to be doing is messing with scanners, probing wires, and doing this programming stuff. And if the manufacturers truly want mechanics to stay around, they should make cars simpler and easier to fix. And then people would probably enjoy their job a little more. Oh look, now our programming's done. And this is the screen that we get when we're done to uphold your warranty. You just come down here and click print, and we'll save it as a PDF in case the warranty company wants to claim we never did the programming. So now we just clear the codes, and this thing is finally ready to drive. For more industry problems like this, stay dirty and subscribe.
All right, here we go again, guys. Can't make this up. I'm driving home. I'm going down Pooler Parkway, and this truck just stops working. So I was driving my truck, and the engine light came on, and I just lost all my forward propulsion. That's the same thing that happened before they addressed this recall and rebuilt this engine. And I had to coast into this side road, and when I try to start the truck, nothing's lit up. It's just, I don't know what's happening. Everything only lights up when I press the button again. But if I try to start it, everything shuts off. This is the same thing that was happening before. Same thing it did before. The propulsion just stops. Everything is on the dashboard. All the propulsion, all the forward propulsion of the engine stops. And it comes on the screen saying, start vehicle. So I coast into where I am now. Luckily, I'm like pretty much right around the corner from my house. I'm right over here by Lowe's. That's where I coasted the vehicle and trying to start it, and it's just cycling. And then it speeds up the cycling. But while it's doing that, nothing's on the dashboard. And when I try to stop, when I stop that, then everything comes on the dashboard. But I have no power to move the vehicle. It won't start. So, waiting for a tow truck now. We'll see what happens. So guys, this is a $95,000 truck. Am I really gonna feel confident? Because I drive this truck all over the place, right? Am I really gonna feel confident taking this truck anywhere? Last time it broke down, I was in South Carolina. Yeah, no, I was in South Carolina. 3-4 hours away. Now I'm 2 minutes away from my house, but I still have to be inconvenienced. Truck has to be towed. And then it's a waiting process of let's see what's wrong now and how long it's gonna take. And I need this truck for what I do. So I'll keep you guys posted, but GMC, Chevrolet, you got to get your shit together.
Another junk L5P.
2017 Duramax, like 180,000 miles on it. Dropped the lifter. Getting to be more and more common.
Look at this thing. Completely gone. Got the heads pulled off, got the cam pulled out, cams wore down. All the other lifters are good. Obviously, we're going to put a set of 16 lifters in it. New cam, throw a new water pump on it while we're there. The guy wants us to throw head studs in it instead of head bolts. So that's what we're going to do and get this thing thrown back together.
Let us know your opinion in the comment section below. Why are these new trucks turning into complete junk?
Who is out here spending $100,000 on a Tahoe? Like, I mean, I get this thing is a high country, but this thing literally is $100,000. $100,000 for a Chevy Tahoe. What the heck? I mean, I feel like every year they're just raising the prices up more and more and more and more on these trucks. Have they fixed the engine yet? Is it still blowing up? Have they fixed it? Last time I checked, all they were going to do was basically switch out the thickness of the oil going from 0W20 to 0W40, and they were calling that a fix, saying, oopsies, we just put the wrong oil in from the factory. So that's why the engines were blowing up. It's nothing to do with the engine being wrong. It's just the wrong oil. So not only do you got to take that risk, oh my gosh, you're just going to spend $100,000 on these things? And what are these wheels? Does that look good? Like, I don't know if that really looks that good. Oh, and you know those lug nuts? These black ones right here? They're like a $200 option just to have black lug nuts versus the regular chrome lug nuts. Oh, at least you do get a $750 discount for getting the technology package. Oh, otherwise it'd be $101,000. Yikes.
This is my new replacement for my Ram TRX. Just kidding, this is what the dealership barely gave me as a loaner car. If you guys have seen any of my videos, you would know that my TRX just got a brand new motor. And now it's back at the dealer again and they have no clue what's wrong with it. So I'm gonna put a few clips in of what my truck was doing.
You can see it from under here.
In that video, you could see that my starter was smoking, and it was smoking way worse before I got that on camera. Brought in my TRX and they have no clue what's wrong with it. It's been there for about a week and a half, and they did not want to give me a loaner vehicle. And I'm not sure why they didn't want to give me a loaner vehicle since my truck is still under factory warranty and I still have 6 years of extended warranty left. The mechanics there could not figure it out, so they escalated the case to a Star representative. And Star still has no idea what they're doing, so now they're getting their seniors involved into this case. And it's been about 2 weeks now and we still have no answers. They suspect something is wrong with the ECU, but I just don't understand it, why the starter was smoking so bad. Anyways, while the dealership continues to do absolutely nothing, this is my new truck for the meantime. And guess what? It's not covered for the whole time. I have to pay for this truck while my truck, that is under factory warranty, gets work done. Make sure to follow along to see what's wrong with my TRX. See you guys next time.
This is absolutely what is happening in the automotive industry right now.
This truck is in for an oil change, right? And before I even, crack this shit free and start draining it, I take a look at this oil pan. That's a liability. If I crack that drain plug and this breaks, we're fucked. We're gonna have to pay for that. So the only way I'm doing this oil change is if this guy does this oil pan, because that is really fucking bad.
I ran out of gas in my GMC Yukon and it was a way bigger problem than it should have been. Let me explain. Now, before I even dive into it, yes, I ran out of gas. It's my fault. I was lazy. I wanted to see how far I could go. I went too far. I do that a lot. With this 2022 GMC Yukon, though, the real problem was how computerized, how techie it is, because it doesn't make any sense, and it's actually pretty unsafe. Let me explain a little bit more. In previous generation GM vehicles, I could just put my foot on the brake, pull the manual shift lever down, put it in neutral, and manually push the truck. But there's another problem, actually two. Now everything's so technologically advanced that it is a push button part. Push button, neutral. Now, I ran out of fuel in an intersection. Wildly dangerous and unsafe. So what could I do? Put it in neutral, roll it out of the way. Up! No, can't do such a thing because when I put it in neutral with the car not starting, this is what happened. Condition not correct to shift. It wouldn't let me shift. The computer would not allow me to shift into neutral while I'm stuck in an intersection. There's probably a reason, but for me, that wasn't cool. This, however, in previous generation GM vehicles, yes, it had an electronic emergency brake, but it was a manual electronic emergency brake. I engaged it. In the new ones, the electronic emergency brake automatically engages when you put it in park. But wait, there's more. I told you I was going on a family road trip. This vehicle was packed with luggage to the top. We're talking 5 suitcases and duffel bags on top. Here's why that's a problem. This gas door doesn't have a gas cap. That's cool. I like that. EVAP emissions, no gas caps needed. Pretty neat. But you can't use a regular gas can right here. You need a very specific tool that is located right here. So I then went and removed all of the luggage that I packed up like Tetris in the back to access this tool so I could then insert it into the filler neck.
What did we learn?
Never run out of fuel.
The truth is, these companies are not building these cars to last. They are building them to extort money from the population.
Fiat Chrysler Automotive managed to take a job that was a 1.4 hour job and turned it into a 6.9 hour job. How in the hell does that happen? Let me show you. On the second generation Dodge Durango with the 3.7 liter engine, you could replace the starter in just 1.4 hours. Then on the third generation Durango with the 3.6 liter engine, that goes all the way up to 6.9 hours, a 5.5 hour difference. At $175 an hour, that's $1,000. So what are you actually getting for this extra $1,000? Let me show you. So the starter on this car is located way up in there where you just don't have any access to it at all. So the first problem you run into is to remove the starter, you need to be able to pull it back out of the bell housing, and you can't do that because there's a motor mount right there. So you got to take out the motor mount, which is 2.2 hours. But you can't just take out the motor mount because you got this skid plate in the way. So you take the skid plate off, that's 0.3 hours, and then you got to take off the transfer case cross member here, which is another 1.6 hours, so that you can take out the front drive shaft, so you can eventually get to that motor mount, and then the starter job itself is another 2.8 hours, making the total job 5.9 hours. When just a couple years earlier, you could do this same job in a little over an hour. Fiat, what are you guys thinking? My mechanics used to like you guys, and now you're giving us these puzzle boxes of cars. Let me know what you all think in the comments. Fiat Chrysler Automotive managed to take a job that was a 1.4 hour job and turned it into a 6.9 hour job. How in the hell does that happen? Let me show you. On the second generation Dodge Durango with the 3.7 liter engine, you could replace the starter in just 1.4 hours. Then on the third generation Durango with the 3.6 liter engine, that goes all the way up to 6.9 hours, a 5.5 hour difference. At $175 an hour, that's $1,000. So what are you actually getting for this extra $1,000? Let me show you. So the starter on this car is located way up in there where you just don't have any access to it at all. So the first problem you run into is to remove the starter, you need to be able to pull it back out of the bell housing, and you can't do that because there's a motor mount right there. So you got to take out the motor mount, which is 2.2 hours. But you can't just take out the motor mount because you got this skid plate in the way. So you take the skid plate off, that's 0.3 hours, and then you got to take off the transfer case cross member here, which is another 1.6 hours, so that you can take out the front drive shaft, so you can eventually get to that motor mount, and then the starter job itself is another 2.8 hours, making the total job 5.9 hours. When just a couple years earlier, you could do this same job in a little over an hour. Fiat, what are you guys thinking? My mechanics used to like you guys, and now you're giving us these puzzle boxes of cars. Let me know what you all think in the comments.
How to fix your $175,000 Escalade V. You get yourself some super expensive Velcro, a little pair of cutters, and you apply them See that right there? So that it touches there, and now doesn't make any noise. Simple fix. Wow. Cadillac, you couldn't put a 1 penny little piece of Velcro padding on the bottom over there, so this fucking stupid center console didn't make any noise?
Check it out. This 2025 Chevy L5P, only 16,000 miles on it, but this customer wasn't taking any chances. As you guys know, these trucks are $80,000, $90,000, $100,000, and you need to protect your investment. So that's what he brought it to us for, was to get the full works package done. We did that downpipe, the EGR kit. We also did a full 5-inch Flow Pro exhaust with a custom 150 max effort file, as well as transmission tuning. Listen to that startup. It sounds incredible. And if you own a newer diesel truck, we can help you with that. We can make it sound like that. We can make it run great, longevity, fuel mileage, reliability, everything that you guys are looking for, we can provide it. We have multiple locations across the state of Texas. We're located here just south of San Antonio, 210-867-5136 for all your diesel performance needs.
So, do yourself a favor. Skip the dealership trap and go for older, reliable, affordable, and easy to fix cars instead.